Welcome back for another episode of the Incomparable 10-8 Mixed Martial Arts Podcast, coming to you live from an undisclosed location monitored constantly by the federal government. As always, I'm your humble narrator, Zach from filthy Philadelphia, joined by the unshakable Coltrane.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to be seen. Coming at you live from a right seat of a Douglas C-54 Skymaster, traversing the illimitable skies of an undisclosed location near you.
Now, that's a hell of an intro. And is this a situation where if you know, you know?
This is a deep cut. This is what we call a deep cut. B-sides only.
IYKYK. If you know, you know.
Indeed.
And if you don't, learn something. We're back here after a week off. Did you rejuvenate on the week off?
Very rejuvenated, very ready for this episode. Need some more fighting.
Did you find some self-care?
Self-care is a psyop.
Self-care is a psyop.
100%.
Look for the t-shirt.
It's coming
Self-care is a psyop. So you took some steps to refocus, re-engage,
Yes.
reinvigorate.
100%.
You're ready now. Because we got a big one this weekend. Mm-hmm. And we got a big one because the soul of Philadelphia once again steps into the octagon.
Absolutely. Mr. Sean Brady.
Mr. Sean Brady.
He's in there.
He is, I think, I don't know if I want to say the best. I don't know if I want to say the most talented. I don't know. Maybe just the best run so far of anybody who came out of the original Team Daniel Gracie, Renzo Gracie Philly camp, right? That's the oak tree there was Paul Felder, who was a CFFC champion for a long time. Paul had a great run in the UFC, became the fan favorite of a lot. Kind of following on his coattails was Sean Brady, who's had a hell of a run in the UFC. He's only lost one fight, to, and we'll cover later, it was to Bilal Muhammad.
Remember the name.
I want to forget the name so fucking badly. But Sean, I think, has been, probably maybe the most successful thus far. It's probably a neck and neck race between him and Felder. And obviously there were a lot of guys now who came out of that camp. Pat Sabatini, Andre Petrosky, I think Jeremiah Wells, and you had some other people from that camp who passed through the UFC at one point. I think Zhu Anwar made a run. Jonathan Webb, who now runs Fury Grappling and runs an MMA school in South Jersey. So that team has really brought Philly to the map. And
Deeply steeped in the culture.
Mm-hmm. And now Sean Brady is stepping up for a tough fight, taking on Gilbert Burns in the main event of the fight card coming up on Saturday, September 7th. Is that
September 7th. That's right.
September 7th.
100%.
When we hit a 31 on the date, and we're recording this on a Saturday, we hit a 31. It's hard for me to remember what's the, 7 days away.
It's a challenge.
It is. Should we start in the usual way?
Come on, let's get it.
Let's get it going. Cheers to a good pod and no electric fires.
If we make it there,
Let's toast over here to avoid the outlets.
We love it.
That's the peach tea.
Rest in peach, everyone.
God damn, that's good.
That's so good.
With agave and vitamins? Come on, you can't beat that.
Thirst deaded.
As always, thirst deaded. So I'm sure you did your research. Talk to me. How do you feel about Burns Brady?
So, welterweight division, we love it. Brady, Philly favorite. Me being a Philly bull, I got to go with Brady on this one.
Sure.
Not just because of the cultural connection, which is, mind you, 70% of the decision, but the other strong 30% is just the dominant run that he's had in the UFC and beyond. 16-1-0. I mean, this guy, and he lost to Bilal Muhammad, remember the name, who is the reigning welterweight champion, unfortunately. But that does mean that Sean Brady has only lost to the champ.
Correct.
That is what that means.
Correct.
And I do want to point out that perhaps when Brady lost to Bilal Muhammad, folks kind of started disrespecting him a little bit. They kind of thought, Bilal Muhammad wasn't who Bilal Muhammad is now. And they were kind of like, well, if Bilal Muhammad can defeat him, maybe he's not what we thought he was going to be. But now that Muhammad's the champ, we have to reconsider Sean Brady. And for the OGs, we never have to reconsider Sean Brady, but we just have to re-educate the haters.
Well, what's interesting, right, is I think Sean Brady took a big step in re-educating the haters in his last fight against Kelvin Gastelum. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a bell-to-bell starching before finally securing the Kimura in the third round. But Sean looked absolutely unshakable in the grappling, which was no small feat against Kelvin Gastelum, who is a longtime wrestler known for his MMA grappling. I thought Sean looked like a new man. He looked dialed the fuck in.
100%. Not only that, but we have to point out the fact that Mr. Brady has defeated Mr. Jones.
Sure.
Mr. Craig Jones.
Yes.
In a BJJ match. So, I mean, we knew that Brady had dominant BJJ, and we know this. But we only just want to take a moment to tell the haters, study up.
So I was at that Fury grappling card when the main event was Brady, Craig Jones. That was live from the 2300 Arena in South Philadelphia. Fury grappling is, and I can't wait for another Fury grappling card so we can talk about it here. It's such a fun jiu-jitsu night because you get so many strange matchups you'd otherwise never see. You get so many UFC fighters going up against these like unknown, unheralded, really talented jiu-jitsu guys, and you get fun stuff out of it. The Brady Craig Jones match, you know, how much stock you put into that, you'll have to sit down and watch it. It was a lot of a stalemate. I think the rule structure of Fury might have favored Sean Brady a little bit more. I think in straight jiu-jitsu, I think Craig Jones probably has an edge on Sean.
For sure.
But let's not unherald Sean Brady's MMA grappling. And I think that's really, you know, to be able to stalemate Craig Jones and not get your leg snatched the fuck off your body, not get, you know, rear naked choked, whatever it may be, to not have Craig Jones end it wherever he wants and still be able to be competitive with Craig Jones, it speaks only to, I think, the caliber of grappling that Sean Brady has. And Craig Jones is Alexander Volkanovski's grappling coach, so he's got the mind and the knowledge for it.
I agree with that 100%. And looking over at Burns, of course, we love Burns.
Love Dorino. Big Dorino guy.
But listen, times change.
Sure.
Things happen. Sunsets occur.
Mm-hmm.
A spottier record as of late, but notably only losing to the top of the top guys, honestly.
Right.
So, okay, we understand. But he is slowing down due to age. I'm not saying he's not still dominant. What I am saying is that he's not what he once was.
Sure. He's pushing 40's door down.
He's there.
He's pushing 40's door down. I mean, Dorino is not somebody to ever be taken lightly. His last 3 losses, so he's in his last 5 fights, he's 2-3. Mm-hmm. And you think that's not great. But who did he lose to? Khamzat Chimaev, which possibly one of the best MMA fights of all time. Mm-hmm. And he brought the business to Khamzat. So let there be no doubt about that. He took the business to Khamzat. Lost to Bilal Muhammad. Okay, whatever. Bilal's the champ.
Remember the name.
Lost to Jack Della Maddalena. Jack is an up-and-coming prospect in the welterweight division. He is a tough fucking dude. That is no loss to sneeze at. And in the middle of that has a win over Neil Magny and Jorge Masvidal. Not the most impressive wins, but before that, Stephen Thompson, you know, Damian Maia, Gunnar Nelson, Tyron Woodley. I don't think that Brady is going to have an easy time with this fight.
No, and I think the thing that Burns has working against him is that his game is so recognizable at this point.
Sure.
That you have a lot of information to go on to prepare. Like Brady has been probably studying tape this entire time, getting used to the game, but also we all know the game. We all know what's going to happen.
Right.
So we know what Burns is looking for. We know what kind of strikes he's looking for. We know his game, and that's what Brady's going to try to bring to the plate and try to, you know, take it to the ground and then do the things that he does.
Sure. And I think what Gilbert Burns has counterpoint, right? What
Sure.
Gilbert Burns has going for him is that his game is just so complete.
100%.
Gilbert Burns is an incredible jiu-jitsu competitor. Gilbert Burns has heavy hands. Gilbert Burns has good wrestling. Gilbert Burns is durable. He doesn't give up easily. I wouldn't call him chinny by any stretch of the imagination. No. I mean, his last loss was a TKO to Jack Della Maddalena at 38. I don't know. Does he become chinny? We'll have to see in this fight. But I wouldn't call him chinny in the past. It's going to be a good fight. I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
More than anything, I just think this is a good fight. This is a fun fight. You know, and Gilbert Burns with a career like this has only lost 7 times.
Right.
You know, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough fight. I'm excited for it. I hope Brady wins it. Obviously, Philly. That's on law. That's on gospel. And I'm excited to see maybe what's next for Brady. If Brady gets the win over Burns, could we see Brady Khamzat?
Maybe.
Could we see Brady Della Maddalena, which I think was booked at one point and got canceled due to some lingering injuries that Sean Brady's been dealing with? JDM Brady's a banger. who's to say, and I know a lot of folks probably listening thinking Brady Hamzat, you're on that stuff. You got that demon in you.
Right.
I don't know. I think the styles could match up really nicely there. I think on the ground, I think Hamzat's best path to beating Brady is probably on the feet, right? Because Bilal was able to knock out Brady.
Right.
I thought the stoppage was a touch early. It was very late in the round. I thought Brady should have been given an opportunity to get to the stool and readjust and come out. It's in the past. It is what it is. But I'd love to see Brady Hamzat.
I think that could be fun. I think anything to shake up what's currently happening in the welterweight division is going to be fine by me.
Sure. Well, Hamzat's up in 185 right now, stalking those waters anyway.
Yeah.
But in the welterweight division, this is Brady's 2.0 now, right? So,
Right.
A win over Gilbert Burns, another tough win, another one or two wins after that. He's probably back in the top 5 area talking about, maybe making a run at Muhammad. Once you got one-way traffic in there right now. I think Shavkat is and should be the next one for Bilal. I think Shavkat dismantles Bilal, or at least I'm speaking it into existence. But
Words are spells.
words are spells, and I am hoping that this spell will bring Shavkat UFC gold. Fuck Bilal Muhammad. Just to get that in there. You want to talk about the co-main event, or should I just keep bashing Bilal Muhammad for an hour?
We could bash Bilal Muhammad for 2 hours, and I still wouldn't be
wouldn't run out of tape.
Right, but this co-main, I like it a lot. Jessica Andrade, Natalia Silva.
So first and foremost, let's give a shout out to Jessica Andrade, friend of the 10-8 podcast.
Come on.
She's got a 10-8 sticker.
Yes, she does.
She was an absolute delight to meet. She was so nice. She thought the sticker was so cool. We very much struggled to communicate because I don't speak Portuguese.
You should have got in touch with Mackenzie Dern.
I probably should have, so I could have at least dialed in the accent.
Right.
I know obrigado. That's about it.
That's it.
That's it. That's where it begins. That's where it ends. Pura.
Yeah, there you go.
That's about
Caralho.
it. Yeah, that's about it. I never really sat down with the linguistics on this one, and nor has she with English. So the two of us struggled very hard to communicate, but we made some strides in communication. So just got to get that off the rip. I'm always rooting for Jessica Andrade because she was so cool to the podcast back when, back in the day.
100%. And we're coming in here against Natalia Silva, who's up and coming. I mean, she's got experience. No one's going to take that away from her, but she's undefeated in the UFC as of right now.
Yep.
And according to her record, hasn't lost in 7 years.
Yep.
Taekwondo is the background.
Yep.
We like to see the traditional martial arts
Yeah.
be represented.
We are
like
suckers
this.
for that.
Listen, it's a thing. We like it. Get over it. Now listen, love Jessica Andrade. I think it's going to go to Silva narrowly. Here's why. Silva's got that superior length and that technical facility with those kicks. I think it's something that we don't see enough in the UFC across any of the divisions. It's true superiority with a variety of different kinds of kicks. I'm talking about Wonderboy Thompson levels of superiority.
Sure.
But that combined with the length and just the sort of tear that she's on right now, the hunger that she's got in her career, I think she takes it.
I'm going to respectfully disagree.
We welcome this kind of discourse here at 10-8.
I think Andrade gets it done. I really do.
Okay.
I think Jessica Andrade has just one too many weapons. I think a little bit too much time under tension in the cage. Too much of the resume. I mean, here's the answer, right? 3 fights ago, Natalia Silva was fighting Victoria Leonardo. That's not Jessica Andrade.
I hear you.
She beat Andrea Lee. That's not Jessica Andrade.
Heard.
And she beat Viviane Araújo. Impressive. Not Jessica Andrade. And those last 2 were unanimous decisions. That means you've got to keep Jessica Andrade at bay, right? She's really got a Taekwondo Wonderboy-esque style where she's winning decision victories a lot of the time. So you have to hope that you've got the kick range and the ability to keep Andrade at bay for 3 rounds. And I think Andrade is she's good on the feet. She's a killer on the ground. She knows how to get inside. I think for a lot of her career, and it's been tested a little bit lately, but for a lot of her career, she's had a real tough chin in women's MMA, one of the tougher chins in women's MMA. She's just a dog. I'm rocking with Andrade on this one. I really am.
regardless of which way we're going, it's definitely one of those fights where we're trying to test Silva and see where she's going to go trajectory-wise.
Sure.
Because she's a bright up-and-comer. People like her in the flyweight division. Jessica Andrade, the darling, one of the darlings of the UFC women's
Absolutely.
divisions. This is definitely just a test of skill and a test of wills at the end of the day, probably. And we'll see. I think that Silva has displayed some of the prerequisites for keeping Andrade at bay, but I wouldn't be surprised. This is not a high confidence kind of a thing.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if Andrade came in and starched Silva in a way that Silva hasn't been starched before.
Sure.
It's either going to be a decision victory for Silva or it's going to be a starching of Silva.
I
in
like
my
that.
mind.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good card.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good card. You want to jump down to Schnell Costa?
Let's do it.
I like Matt Schnell.
You're a fan.
I'm a fan of Matt Schnell. I am. I think anybody who watched the Sumadarj fight in 2022 will forever be kind of a Matt Schnell fan. He's lost his last two to Matthias Nicolau and Steve Erceg, but and before that lost to Brandon Royval, which is like there's no sneezing at any of those. And it was a submission KO. Mm-hmm. But that Sumadarj fight, bloodied up, just getting rocked, comes in and throws a triangle on Sumadarj and gets the win. I mean, I think it won Fight of the Year for 2022, if memory serves. But at the time, it was all anyone could talk about. Everyone was abuzz with that fight. I don't know that he had done much before. I don't know that he's done much since. And the look on your face tells me that perhaps, in spite of being a Matt Schnell fan, it's not Matt Schnell's night.
I don't think so, but here's the thing. Let me try to lay it out from the tape. We'll go to the tape. Costa, we've got a more technical grappler here. Okay? And here's my thing. When we've got a technical grappler versus someone like Schnell, who's a more technical striker,
sure,
we have a problem. And the problem is, how good is the technical grappler striking?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for Schnell, Costas is good enough to overwhelm some basic defenses and even sophisticated defenses. And what I mean is we saw DDP 2 weeks ago. Okay, we know that certain wild styles do work. And Costa is a more powerful striker, if not the more technical one. So I think Costa has answers and will press Schnell, and then that pressure will turn into a ground game. And then once it gets to the ground, I'm seeing right now Costa make something happen.
Is that right?
That's what I'm seeing.
Interesting. You know, I don't know that I can really sit here and disagree with that, but Schnell got that dog in him.
100%.
So to keep it interesting, I'm going to rock with Schnell on this one. I'm going to say Schnell's the call, but I like your analysis. I love the research, as always.
That's what I bring.
You're too complete.
Listen,
You're
I'm
just
trying to make my game solid.
You are a complete podcaster. Your ground game is solid. Your stand-up is technical.
I like it.
You're not chinny. You're a solid podcast researcher. I don't have the room to disagree with it. And because I can't disagree with it, you want to jump down the card a little bit, talk Ryan Spann, Ovince St. Preux?
Let's talk about it.
Worth talking about because I genuinely did not know Ovince St. Preux was still in the UFC.
And that's the answer to the question that everyone's asking, aka no one, is who's going to win. And I think it's going to be Ryan Spann because of that very statement you just made.
I think so.
Yeah.
Ovince St. Preux's heyday in the UFC was 2016.
Yeah.
And that heyday did not last long.
Now listen, Ryan Spann, he's just got a little bit more in the tank.
Sure.
I'm not saying there's a huge difference happening here in terms of what's left in the career tank, but there's definitely a little bit more room for Ryan Spann than there is for OSP.
I agree. OSP obviously fought John Jones in 2016, 8 years ago.
Wow.
And lost to John Jones in a unanimous decision. Went on a skid from there. Lost to Jimmy Manuwa. Lost to Volkan Ozdemir. Beat Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Beat Yushin Okami. Beat Corey Anderson. Lost to Ilir Latifi. Beat Tyson Pedro. Lost to Dominic Reyes. Lost to Nikita Krylov. Lost to Ben Rothwell when he tried to go up to heavyweight. Lost to Jamal Hill. Lost to Tanner Bozer. Beat Mauricio Shogun Hua in 2022, lost to Felipe Lins, and then beat Kennedy Njoku. I don't see anything in his resume in the last 8 years that tells me that Ovince St. Preux is the dude to rock with here.
Right. It will be a fun fight to watch, though. It will be. There will be some heavy boxing going on, and it'll be a bit of a slog. You know, we always love a light heavyweight bout, but I don't think we're going to see OSP really surprise us here.
I don't think so. But, you know, again, though, you look at Ryan Spann's resume. It's 2 losses to Anthony Smith, a loss to Nikita Krylov. You know, he got knocked out by Bogan Guskov earlier this year. The only thing that kind of stands out really in the middle here was a win over Ion Cutelaba, which I think he was the dog for. So it was an impressive win over Cutelaba. And then, you know, he slept Dominic Reyes, which on paper it looks like, okay, OSP lost to Dom Reyes. Ryan Spann beat Dom Reyes. When you get a little bit deeper, though, we know that this is Dom Reyes post getting chinny, right. Post glass chin syndrome.
Right. But here's really the nail in the proverbial coffin: 33 versus 41.
Sure.
We're getting into that stage of the fight game where we have to start taking into account the ages. And this is not the first card where we've seen these big age gaps. There aren't as many in this card as there were 2 weeks ago. But here's another one where there's just not a lot left in the tank. Now, listen, some of our favorite folks are pushing 40. That's not what I'm saying.
Some of them have passed 40.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're not one of our favorite folks and you're in the 40s, I've got questions about how much is left.
Sure.
Right.
Well, you've been kind of touting and espousing the age gaps on these cards for a while now. How have the older fighters been faring against the younger fighters?
Honestly, I think we've seen it play out as we've been talking about it. I think we've seen younger fighters been taking folks out. We'll know more when we recap the beginner's luck.
Sure.
In preparation for 307.
Yep. But
I think what we'll see is that when we have these huge age gaps, the wins only come for the older fighters if they've got the kind of caliber of experience that just vastly outclasses the challenger.
Sure.
But if you have been a journeyman for a long time and you really didn't have the heyday that you were supposed to have, you're not winning against someone who's really coming up.
Well, I have to wonder, right? And we've touched on this both on the podcast and then I think in circles with friends we've discussed it. The fact that we're kind of seeing the end of an era, you know, with certain fighters that we all love, right? And you know, I've been a fan of the UFC long enough that I've seen this era play out a few times. It always sucks when it does, but like a lot of your favorite fighters are getting old now, right? Like Dustin Poirier is getting old, John Jones is getting old, Stipe Miocic is getting old. You know, this generation now is starting to age out. I mean, hell, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler getting old, and these were the guys. These were your poster guys. Tony Ferguson. I mean, hell, for me, Michael Chiesa is getting old, right? A lot of your favorite fighters who have haunted the top 10 of their respective divisions now are starting to age out, and I wonder if this isn't the UFC kind of systematically sending the older generation out on their shield.
And here's the thing. I like that strategy.
I do too.
I think it's the right way to go.
Yeah.
Instead of unceremoniously sort of just cutting older fighters. We don't want to see that. We want to see last heydays. We want to see final starches. We want to see everything they've got squeezed out and left right there in the octagon. And I'm loving to see this. And you know, as a newer sort of inductee into the fan base, I like some of these newer fighters that are coming up. Like, I'm a Bo Nickel guy.
Sure.
As much as Bo Nickel talks so much shit, and I do love the shit that is talked, he's a dominant fighter.
Yeah.
When I see him fight, I'm like, dude, what's going on here?
Yeah,
That's one of my guys.
You got to just start to wonder, right? Is the UFC kind of starting to clean out these ranks a little bit,
right,
for the new generation? You know, and it happened. Hey, you know, 20 years ago, Chuck Liddell was probably your favorite fighter, and at some point he aged out too, right? You know, perish the thought, but Tito Ortiz might have been your favorite fighter. Frank Mir might have been your favorite heavyweight of all time, and nobody's beating time. Everybody loses a decision eventually to Father Time.
Right.
So yeah, I wonder if that's not what the UFC is doing here. You want to there's one more fight on this card I think that's worth diving into, only because of the Philly connection. Andre Petroski, Dylan Budka.
First of all, Petroski takes it.
Okay, fair. I like that.
Okay, better striker, better grappler, bigger and stronger, more experienced in the UFC. This is the kind of fight where you say, hey, listen, Petroski's got it. Love Budka. I think that's how you say it.
I believe it's Budka.
Yeah. He's got that stamina. He's got more gas in the tank. Probably the gas tank's probably more developed, and he's also got that toughness. He's got that dog in him. But listen, Petrosky, he's been at it. He's just got better skills, better skill set, and he's got the physical attributes. And at the end of the day, those are some really big things to have over a challenger.
Looking at Bud, I mean, Budka's a new addition to the UFC. He won over Chad Hanekom on the Contender Series just about a year ago. When this fight happens, it'll be just about the 1 year anniversary, just past the 1 year anniversary of him winning his fight on the Contender Series in a UD to get invited. Earlier this year, he loses a TKO to Cesar Almeida in the second round. He gets TKO'd. You know, Petrosky is a tough alum, not a tough winner, but a tough alum who has wins over Gerald Mearshart, Nick Maximov when he was highly touted, Josh Fremd, he has a UD over him, you know, and his wins are better and his losses are better, right? He lost a TKO to Jacob Malkoun. I was at that fight in Atlantic City earlier this year. He lost a TKO to Pereira. I think that's really the only place that Budka maybe gets it done. Petrosky has in the past, and I think it's gotten better, but in the past has had a little bit of a suspect gas tank. Right. Which, you know, maybe Budka can expose that if he can take the fight into deep waters. But I like the call, and I'll always be a Petrosky fan. I've got to be a Petrosky fan because he sat next to me at a local MMA card at the Ironworkers Union Hall down there on Delaware Ave in Philadelphia.
Come on.
He sat down. I had on some green and pink checkered Vans.
Yep.
He sat down. First thing he says was, "Yo, those shoes are fly. Where did you get them?"
Come on.
We had a little chat about it. I was front row because dear friend of the podcast, Tim Green, was fighting that night. Won a dominant UD, and I get hype. I get hype when it's my people fighting. Mm-hmm. I get toxic. Let's cut right through all of it.
Call it what it is.
Yeah, beyond toxic. So I'm out of my. So, you know, great fight for Tim, right? Tim's throwing good shots on the feet. He's got a lot of takedowns, and I'm hitting Petrosky because I'm like that excited. I'm out of my seat hitting Petrosky, and Andre kind of got in on the hype with me. He got in on cheering for Tim Green, so I'll always be a fan of Andre for that reason. Yeah, I like Petrosky's chances here. I think this is a good one for him. What do you say we powder our nose and come back for the beginner's luck section? Get all the way through this card?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Welcome back to the 10-8 pod. We are going to do what we do every week on this show. We are going to get into our beginner's luck section. You got your odds ready?
Hell yeah.
You got your picks ready?
I got them all ready to go.
Let's start right at the top. Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady. Tell me what's up.
All right. Burns is coming in at plus 160. Brady's coming in at minus 190. I've got Brady all the way.
So that's a favorite call?
Favorite call.
It's a double favorite because it's a Philly favorite.
Absolutely. How could I go against it?
It's always a Philly favorite.
Come on. The next we've got Jessica Andrade v. Natalia Silva. Silva's the favorite at negative 300 with Andrade coming in at plus 240.
That's a steep line.
A bit.
That is a bit steep.
Yeah.
And you're rocking the favorite.
I'm rocking the favorite on this one.
All right.
Controversially, because you did make good points for Andrade.
Sure.
But we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Steve Garcia, Kyle Nelson.
Yeah, we got Garcia coming in as the fave with Nelson at negative 195, with Nelson coming in at plus 165. I'm going to go with Garcia. Now, here's the thing. I'm not just going with folks because they're the favorites. There's actually good information happening here. This is going to be an exciting fight. Garcia, he's a dog. He's just going to keep coming. And even though Kyle Nelson may knock him down a couple times, I think the sheer tenacity from Garcia is going to get it done.
You think tenacity gets it done?
I think tenacity gets it done.
I like that, and I like Steve Garcia, so fuck it. Why not?
Get it done.
Matt Schnell, Alessandro Costa.
Schnell's coming in as the underdog at plus 375 with Costa at negative 550.
That's another heavy line.
And listen, we've got Costa for the aforementioned reasons.
And I can't disagree with that one as much as I'd like for it to be Matt Schnell because, you know, I hold on to the past.
100%.
I can't disagree with it.
Tradition, so they say.
Trevor Peak, Yanal Eshmaz.
Yep, Peak is coming in at negative 135 as the favorite, with Ashmaus coming in at plus 115. I've got Ashmaus.
That's a tight line.
Yeah.
So that's your first dog pick.
That's my first dog pick. I think Ashmaus is just the more technical and skilled fighter overall. He's got striking, he's got takedowns, he's got ground game, and he can chain them all together. Whereas Peak, as some of the other folks on this card have, he does have that toughness and that doggedness, but he's simply not the most technical.
I like the call. I can't argue the research. The research is thorough. I can't argue it. Zhu Rong taking on Chris Padilla.
I've got Padilla happening here. I don't actually know. Is it Zhu Rong? I'm going with you. I believe
it. I believe it's Zhu Rong.
All right.
I believe.
I'm with you.
Do you have a different pronunciation?
I've just got Rong Zhu.
You got Rong Zhu.
This happens sometimes though with Corey. Remember Corey Wong or Wong last week?
Yes.
The Joker. I think this happens with a lot of the Chinese fighters. It depends on which site wants to put the
Zhang Weilei and Weilei Zhang.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Which is right? I don't know.
I won't know.
Sherdog tells me it's Zhu Rong.
We'll go with Sherdog.
We're going to go with Sherdog. Right. We'll quote him.
Zhu Rong is the favorite at negative 290 with Padilla coming in as plus 235. But I've got Padilla. This is another underdog. I think we've got a solid overall pick in Padilla. I think he can use that ground game to dominate Zhu Rong and get the sub. But Zhu Rong, he has a run of losses to submission, and his ground game, specifically his defenses against submissions, are not airtight. In fact, I would say they're damn near leaky.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
The research is, again, impeccable.
There it is.
Ryan Spann, Ovince St. Preux.
I've got Ryan Spann, and so do the people, coming in as a fave at negative 350.
Yeah.
With OSP coming in at plus 265.
It's a wide line.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Jacqueline Amarim taking on Vanessa Demopoulos.
I got you right here. Jacqueline Demopoulos coming in as the favorite at negative 330.
Well, let's take a quick pause.
Yeah, I know. I've been reading these names for 3 days straight. Jacqueline Amarim coming in as the favorite at negative 330. Vanessa Demopoulos coming in as the underdog at plus 255. I'm going with Amarim. I agree with the people.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the right call.
Yeah.
Isaac Dolgarian taking on Brendan Marotte.
So here's the line on this one. Isaac Dolgarian coming in as the heavy favorite at negative 3,000.
Holy hell.
With Brendan Marotte coming in as the underdog at plus 1,100.
That's an inconceivable line.
It's criminal. So much so that we are just going to go with Dolgarian here. But also, there's a huge skill difference between these two fighters. Dolgarian has it's indisputable, the superior technical abilities as well as the showing and the experience in the UFC. Marotte is not skilled. He has no weapons. What has he shown? Show me the tape. He's shown me things.
I think, we pride ourselves on integrity on this podcast above all else. We are always honest, full of integrity. And I think that to recommend somebody bet against a minus 3,000 favorite would be reprehensible.
Reckless at the very least.
Reckless at best, negligent or borderline insidious at worst. That being said, if you're doing the laundry this week and you find $5 in your pocket that you forgot you had, you thought you were going to grab a Red Bull and a Snickers bar at 7-Eleven, but work got away from you, and you wanted to just get spicy with it. You wanted to just throw one on for your bang for your buck. Who knows? Maybe Isaac Dolgarian trips on a cord getting in the cage and blows out his ACL. Maybe his toe gets stuck in between where the chain link meets the mat and he snaps his toe out. I don't know. Maybe you throw that $5 in there just to get spicy with it.
Hey, it happened the first time Aspinall and Blades got together, so it could happen again.
Exactly, and we all saw how the second one went, so we know the first one might have just been a fluke.
100%.
That being said, I think you're right to go with the favorite there. Let's move on. Felipe Dos Santos, Andre Lima.
Okay, Felipe Dos Santos coming in as the underdog at plus 160, with Lima coming in as the favorite at negative 190. I'm going with Lima. Now, here's why. He's the favorite, yes. It is going to be a close fight because of prior performance. If we look at both of these folks' records, it could go either way. But just like we were talking about before, there are just holes in Lima's ground. There are roles in Dos Santos' ground game that Lima can take advantage of, and that's what he's going to be looking for.
So you think Lima holds on to his goose egg?
I think he does.
Okay. I like that call.
Yeah.
Jia Yi taking on Gabriel Santos.
See, this is another one of those ones where...
You have it as Yi Jia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Jia Yi sounds more phonetically pleasing to me.
I do like Jia Yi.
It rolls off the tongue a little bit better.
There are no odds in front of me right now for this. This is sort of a pick'em, it seems like. But I've got Santos. He's lost to 2 strong opponents, even though the record in the UFC is shaky. And there was a close fight on one of them. One could say that he actually won one of the ones that he lost. But he's got the stronger weapons and more of the skill set. Jia Yi, less tools, and he's very unidimensional as a fighter. And I think when you've got one direction to go in, that could be good because you could just keep attacking in one way.
Sure.
But against someone like Gabriel Santos, who's got more of the rounded game and the stronger weapons than the skill set, you're gonna lose. And so I'm gonna go with Santos.
I like that pick.
Yeah.
I like that pick.
That's a pick 'em though.
Yeah. I noticed you said unidimensional instead of just one-dimensional.
We're trying to keep it.
That's because you respect the intelligence of our fans.
100%.
You know that this is the thinking man's MMA podcast.
That's what I'm bringing. The research and the thinking.
You know that if you're a thinking man in the sport of MMA, you're not just a tap out bro.
No.
And even worse, you're not just a fucking casual.
Come on.
If you're real deal in the streets for MMA, you're coming to this podcast.
If you find yourself in this particular neighborhood, on this particular street, in this particular city of the internet, welcome to the real man's MMA.
Right.
And real woman's.
The real man, real woman, all thinking.
All thinking.
All thinking. Andre Petroski, Dylan Budka. I think we already covered it sufficiently, but let's do our due diligence.
100%. Petroski coming in as the favorite at -350. Budka coming in as the underdog plus 265. We're going with Petroski for the aforementioned reasons.
Sure.
I think we're at the last fight here.
We are at the last fight. Zigomantis Ramaska taking on Nathan Fletcher. This is another, I don't know if it's a tough finale or if it's just another tough fight that they wanted to bring on as a finale. Zigomantis and Nathan Fletcher both were on this season of The Ultimate Fighter. They're going to get their crack as the curtain jerker on this fight night. Fight night 242. Who do you like here?
I like Ramaska here.
You like Ziggy?
I like Ziggy. Now, here's the thing. Fletcher can get it done. He's got the grappling bona fides. He's going to want to use that as his main offensive tool for finishing the fight. But Ramaska is more well-rounded, and he can address the grappling while still being dangerous on the feet. And that's why I think he gets it done.
You know, my nickname in high school was Ziggy.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's
once
good.
Upon a time.
We'll have to revisit that.
We'll have to revisit. One day we'll have to revisit that. I've had some strange nicknames in my life. That was one of them.
Okay.
Do you have any odds on Zigomantis taking on Nathan?
I do. Nathan is actually the favorite coming in at -130, and good old Ziggy is coming in at +110.
So you've got, if I'm counting correctly, you got 9 favorites.
Yeah.
You got 3 dogs, and you got one where odds did not seem to be available, so we're calling it a pick'em.
Yep.
So, 9, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
All right. As an MMA record, that'd be respectable. As a beginner's luck record, I can't argue with it.
Who knows? In fact, we'll know more about that in preparation for 307.
I think so. Let's take a face-off break here.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back for the actual face-off.
I love
Let's
it.
take a look with Deck Break. Well, we're all weighed in. Beginner's luck has been discussed. There's only one thing left to do, and that's to get right into the face-off here to talk about what's going on in the world of mixed martial arts. And as we always do lately on the goddamn face-off, I guess we're going to start with Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall.
Listen. Tom Aspinall, to be fair, has been pushing the buttons of Jon Jones ever since his fight and victory over Curtis Blades. Mm-hmm. And with good reason. Because Aspinall is the interim champion. And in my book, he's the people's champion. But we shall see. Maybe. Jon Jones has been notably silent about this whole thing. However, recently, I guess it's reached a tipping point.
Sure.
And he's decided to answer in a variety of ways, stepping out of the shadow of Big Daddy Dana.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
Go on.
And suggested that Tom Aspinall had certain anatomical features stuck in his mouth.
That would be
concerning Jon Jones.
That would be the genitalia.
Absolutely.
And Jon used a couple of adjectives for his own genitalia.
Sure.
Many of which are popular on some of the more X-rated websites around the internet.
Yeah, feel free to research that on your own time.
Sure. So Jon's implication is that Tom Aspinall has placed Jon Jones' descriptive genitalia in his own mouth.
A bit of fellatio, if you will.
Sure, I think fellatio is as clean as we can make this.
Try.
There are, much to my surprise, and I would go as far as to say dismay, there are actually some children who listen to this podcast.
And that's why we keep it high level at times.
We try to. We try to keep it highbrow. I do my best to drag us into the gutter, but when it's something as obvious as John Jones' allusions to his own genitalia,
yes,
I think we can let you figure that one out all on your own. 100%. I think you don't have to research it. You probably know exactly what the hell we're talking about.
And if you need to research it, just get your Nancy Drew on and report back.
Yeah, let us know, Hardy Boys. So here's the thing that I'm noticing about the trash talk response of John Jones. Mm-hmm. At no point in this response is John Jones saying, let's run the fade then.
There it is.
Right, bet it's on site.
Right.
It seems like the opposite.
He's saying, hey, if Aspinall had 10 more fights, maybe.
Right.
What?
Right.
John Jones, years ago, would have come out blazing. He would have said, I'll kill you. You remember when he said he would kill Daniel Cormier?
The trash talk against Daniel Cormier is probably peak John Jones. It is his crowning achievement. Are you still there, pussy? Is a quote that I use daily in my own life.
Right.
Anytime someone pisses me off, it's "Are you there, pussy?" John Jones trash talking Daniel Cormier, the battles back and forth. Right. Old John Jones would have said, "All right, bet it's on site."
Right. It can happen right now. It can happen in the parking lot. It can happen
in the weigh-ins.
Why not?
On the face-off.
Come on.
Not now.
This is a different John Jones. This John Jones, prays and drives Teslas, and he does those kinds. Trains his dog, I guess.
Sure.
This is what he's doing now. He's a different kind of man.
Still facing charges, I believe, in New Mexico.
Well, look,
assault charges.
John Jones is going to be John Jones.
Right.
Come on.
But here's the problem.
Where's the problem?
He's not being John Jones.
There it is.
And I'm gonna use this as a bridge. So let me cook for just a second. Let me get in the kitchen here and spice up our stew. My favorite fighters, and I think a lot of people's favorite fighters, are the guys who are not interested in protecting their legacy, because their legacy is, I'll fight whoever, whenever. Dustin Poirier.
There you go.
The Diamond. Truly a dog. One of my favorite quotes about Dustin Poirier actually comes from Bryce Mitchell recently, when he talks about, like, you're in a street fight, you got to pick one person off the roster to have your back. Who's it going to be? And without hesitation, he says Dustin Poirier. Right, because Dustin Poirier will fight. He just loves to fight. And the bridge here is, I guess, what I wanted to mention is that Poirier has taken to Instagram to say uno mas. He's going to saddle up one more time.
That's what he says.
I'm hoping, here's in a perfect world and we'll get back to Jones in a second, because I think there's a link, a callback there. But just while we're on the Diamond, here's what I hope. I hope that it is UFC New Orleans. Ooh. I hope that it is Diamond Gaethje 3.
There you go.
And let Diamond get the dub, and let him ride off into the sunset, because that's a dude who never cared about protecting his legacy or his record for a legacy. If you had Benoit Saint-Denis, he was there. If you had Islam Makhachev, he was there. If you had Conor McGregor, he was there.
Right.
And he was going to win a lot of those fights, because he was just that dude. He was just down to scrap. He was confident in his abilities, and his legacy was being that dude. For a long time, John Jones' legacy was, at light heavyweight, that dude. He was going to hold that belt. You wanted the belt, you better come take it off him, and nobody could. And a lot of people had the opportunity. Now, it seems like the energy from John Jones is, I want to protect my legacy.
He switched up.
I want to protect my GOAT status, my undefeated GOAT status. And I know that Tom Aspinall might come in and snatch a win off of me.
It's not a good look, honestly. For someone who was so as potent as John Jones was. And look at me now saying was. There, and legitimately saying was.
Which is crazy, because his last fight was Cyril Gane, where he dismantled him immediately.
100%. But look, he's running away from Aspinall.
He's ducking.
Because here's the thing. If he's saying that Aspinall doesn't have what it takes to beat him, just fight him. That's my thing. If you think he needs 10 more fights, that sounds to me like you should be able to take him out in round one
within
no problem. 30 seconds.
You got him. If he's not ready, if his steps ain't right yet, if he's not ready for the dance...
Tell the young man to sit down.
That's right. Sit him down. Right, sit him down.
Show him something.
Again, to draw a parallel, right? Dustin Poirier took on Benoit Saint-Denis. And everybody said Saint-Denis was going to come in there and handle business. And Dustin said he ain't ready yet. He's a great fighter, but he ain't going to beat me. And he was right.
There it is.
He was damn right. So
we're not seeing that same kind of energy from Jones.
No, and it's a shame. Because now this is going to be his legacy, right? We talk about primacy and recency. People remember the first thing and the last thing that you did. We're always going to remember Prime Jones, but Prime Jones is in the middle.
Right.
The last thing we're going to remember of John Jones now, his legacy is going to be ducking Tom Aspinall and responding with these lukewarm takes on Twitter about how Tom Aspinall's not ready to fight him.
Right.
Well, then fight him and show us why he wasn't ready. And I'd be happy to eat the words. It's John fucking Jones. It's John Bones Jones. I'll fucking eat my words if he beats Tom Aspinall the fuck up.
Honestly, nothing would make me happier. Just being frank.
Sure.
Honestly, I would love to see it.
One of the critiques we've gotten from the children that listen to this podcast is that there's too much cursing. Do you think me putting 5 fucks in the last sentence was too much?
You know what? I think that the moment we start listening to our fans for that particular bit of notes, I think we've fallen.
So you think we need to trust that the fans trust us for the content?
I think that folks can govern themselves accordingly. I think that folks should have autonomy.
Autonomy.
There it is.
That's it. It's not up to us to tell you how to listen.
All we can do is bring the best product that we can bring.
And we do that.
And if you pick it up and you listen to it.
Well, let me slide one more in here.
Do it.
Bilal Muhammad, once again engaging in fuckery. Fuck him.
Fuck him.
Fuck him.
Hey, he announced on Instagram that he's starting an MMA instructional series where he's going to teach people to not suck like Dricus du Plessis and Strickland. Come on, dig into that.
It's terrible, right? Like the worst person you know just made a valid point. It's terrible. What do I do with that?
And yet he called out two, a former champion and a champion.
Right, a former and a current champion. And I understand what he's saying, right? Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis, when you watch it, should not look like they were 2 recent middleweight champions, the current and the former.
Right.
But they were. So far be it for me to, but they were. But at the same time, Bilal Muhammad, you're going to show everybody how to wrestle fuck to a decision? Is that what your instructional series is going to do?
I mean, now hold on. Because that pile driver was crazy.
Sure.
I want to see it. I want to learn how to do it.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But you are right. You are right.
Bilal Muhammad has a great high crotch takedown.
There you go.
Okay, that's instructional 1. Instructional 2 is...
Let the record show that if this was any other fighter, there would be more excitement across the desk about a good high crotch takedown. Presumably.
Ostensibly, yes. But there's not. So here we are.
There it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the attitude plus the fact that he's just not likable as a guy. And I didn't like what happened in the fight.
I didn't like what happened in the fight. I'm not particularly excited about... Okay, look, he's the champion and he's the champion by right. He paid the iron price for it. He defeated Leon Edwards. Okay. I still don't have to fucking like you. And I don't have to like your fighting style. I don't like to Leon Edwards is an avowed kickboxer. You had back control on him and you couldn't choke out a kickboxer.
Yeah.
So you won. Congratulations. You couldn't pay me money to watch a Bilal Muhammad instructional.
We may have to requisition some of the federal government's funds in order to access this instructional, just so we can see what they're talking about and to make fun of it.
I'm going to be sick that day. I'm going to have to call out sick that day. You can tell me how it was.
I will.
Or how it wasn't.
I'll take the heat.
What it is, what it was, what it should never be. Mm-hmm. Fine, so be it. But, Bilal Muhammad once again running his mouth, and on the eve here of a Sean Brady fight night, what really cemented Bilal Muhammad being deaded to me was the shit he talked about the city of Philadelphia prior to fighting Sean Brady.
And that just makes him irredeemable.
First of all, you're from Chicago. So fuck you.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Fuck you.
Listen.
Fuck Chicago.
Come on.
I'll say it.
The windy fucking city.
I'll say it again. Fuck Chicago.
Help me out.
Yeah, we said it here first, and we said it from an undisclosed location, but it's always Philly, dickheads.
Come on.
Yeah.
Brotherly love and sisterly affection.
That's right. Brotherly love and sisterly affection. and clearly we are exemplifying that this evening. Should we transition to a brief recap of the last fight night when we were last here? Talk about Cannonier Bahayo?
Yeah.
Great fight.
Great fight.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Some robberies on the card.
There are, so there are.
I went straight for,
You did.
for the jugular.
You have feelings.
I have feelings.
And
true.
possibly feelings for Angela Hill.
It could have happened.
Who could blame you?
She could come here now.
Sure. She could show
I
up.
invite you right now, Miss Hill. Please.
Are you inviting her as a guest or for dinner?
Both.
What Philadelphia restaurant are you taking Angela Hill to if she agrees to a date?
What Philadelphia restaurant? Let me think on this. You know what? I just got introduced to a wonderful restaurant in Manioc known as Mia Ragazza. Is that how you say it?
That is how you would pronounce that restaurant, Mia Ragazza.
I think I would take her there because that food was bomb.
You take her to Mia. I like it. I think
There it
that's a
is.
good call. So Angela Hill, if you'd like some medium-priced Italian food in the northwest section of
And a
Philadelphia.
fine chocolate brother to stare at the entire night, please.
And there we go. And there we go. So there was Cannonier Bahayo.
Yeah.
Great fight.
It was there. That was good.
I think it ended the way it was supposed to. Bahayo got the dub.
And it was a slog.
It was a slog. Cannonier, proving once again he really does have that dog in him because he was bloodied up.
Sure. So was Bahayo.
So was Bahayo.
That eye cut. Whoa.
Yeah.
When he took the glasses off in the post-fight interview, I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. No, that was a good one. The robbery. So you want to start with Angela Hill's potential robbery?
You know what it is? It's that Hill doesn't have the ear of the judges.
No, she never has.
It never has, and I don't know what it's about. She was just on Instagram talking about this. I think she was doing like a little guest spot on a podcast, and she was talking about how it's just never been a part of her career, a part of her run to have judges be on her side, especially in close fights. And I think we saw that. I think that's what we saw.
So I watched the Angela Hill fight. I had it, I think 29-28 Hill, but I wouldn't go so far as to call it a robbery.
Well, I'm talking about a different.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Okay.
about, but I want to
Because
say
we watched that other one together.
correct. We did. So did Angela Hill get robbed? I don't think so. Did fuckery abound on that one? I don't think so. I thought Hill got it done.
Yeah.
It was a good fight, and I think Angela Hill's status remains what it is, which is, somewhat of a gatekeeper / always down to scrap kind of a gal. So she's going to remain the same there. I don't think she took a ding to her reputation. Obviously, she didn't move up the ranks, but I don't know that she drops in any meaningful way either. She remains Angela Hill.
100%.
She is who she is.
And I'm not mad about Ricci winning.
No.
That's not what's happening.
Sure.
Here. It's just that there is a pattern of judges
Correct.
going one way
Correct.
and not the other.
Nunes. This was your pick.
What the fuck, guys?
Yeah.
We were sitting there watching that fight the entire time. And at the end of that fight, when we went to the judges' scorecards, I said, man, I think, that was a pretty good fight. And I'm glad it went the way that I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, you were feeling confident.
It was shocking.
And fuckery, I think, did abound on that one.
I think fuckery didn't.
I thought Nunes did win that fight.
Not only that, there was one judge who judged it Nunes 30-27. So clearly something's happening. And that judge didn't get recalled like what happened the last time we were watching.
Also fair.
So
I think that fuckery abounded there. I think Nunes did get robbed. I thought she was the rightful winner of that fight. And that is the coldest introduction to the sport of mixed martial arts that you could ever have. Here's what I think, though, and I think this calls back to something that the 10-8 podcast has been talking about since its inception. Obviously, you joining the 10-8 podcast, you and I have talked about this off air. Let's say it on air. MMA needs open scoring.
100%.
There is no reason that we should be finding out that Nunes lost when we get to the end of the fight.
That's right.
Because I watched it and I thought Nunes won. You watched it, you thought Nunes won. Why can I not know throughout this what the judges are seeing or not seeing?
What a beautiful segue into other promotions thinking the same thing. Going to the world of grappling.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Finishers. Finishers Grappling Series?
The Finishers Grappling Series.
There it is. Embracing CJI rules. Open scoring, 3 5-minute rounds, emphasis on action.
Yep.
It's already having cultural ripples across the grappling world.
I think so. I think the arguments against open scoring fail.
Yeah.
And I think the benefits far outweigh any cons that you could say. Right. And, look at CJI as an example here. People continued to play their game despite knowing the score. Right. Yeah. Because if you continued playing your game despite knowing the score, it's because you thought that you had the ability to finish it. Mm-hmm. You're down 2 rounds. There's a 3rd round coming up. You're going to play your game. It's because you think you can outlast your opponent.
That's right.
If you change it up, it's because you recognize I need to do something different to defeat my opponent.
And listen, it also introduced a level of accountability for the judges, even post the event.
Correct.
Because Mia Prahovic, is that how we say it? Justin Flores.
Yep. J-Flo.
And who was the third one?
Zach Manisley.
That's right.
Big Zach Manisley.
That's the guy right there.
That is
Sorry,
the guy.
I forgot your name. They're still answering questions about the scoring,
Correct.
about their scorecards. And that's what we should be seeing, because there was a lot of talk about some robberies in CJI, and I think most of that talk has sort of died down. I'm not saying that there weren't upsets. I'm not saying that there weren't controversial calls, but nobody was kind of like, I'm not watching CJI next year because I didn't get how the scoring worked.
Correct.
We all understood what was happening.
And look, controversy is part of sport in general. It happens in every sport you like. We happen to love combat sports, and controversy is here as well. But if you're a judge and you're confident in your abilities and you think you know your shit, you should be confident then to defend that decision.
Right.
Controversial or not, here's my math. And the judges from that weekend have been confident in showing their math.
And if you got problems, go to their gyms and roll with them.
Right. You want to call out Justin Flores,
Be my guest.
bring somebody to film so that we can all enjoy.
Send it to us.
We can all enjoy that. We'll put it on the 10-8 Instagram page without hesitation. But, MMA now remains the only sport in the world where you don't know the final score until the end, and you have to guess at it.
What a travesty.
Right? Can you imagine this in any other sport where they're not telling you the score as you go on watching it?
I doubt some folks would even watch at that point.
What's the score of the Phillies game? Oh, I don't know. We won't know until the end of the ninth inning. Ridiculous. I'm going to tune in, right?
Right.
What's the score of this fight? I have no fucking idea. Your guess is as good as mine. Here's what I've seen, or have the judges seen it? I have no idea.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think that there is any valid. And if you feel differently, hit the DMs on the 10-8 podcast, and look, we'll shout it out on the show.
Yeah.
We respond to all DMs. We'll shout it out on the show. If you think you have a valid argument against open scoring in mixed martial arts, let me know what it is, because I have thought about it, and I haven't found one yet.
You know what we got to do? We're going to have someone come in, someone we know. I don't know anyone personally who's my friend who agrees that there should be closed scoring. But if I find anyone like that, we'll bring him onto the show, and we'll have a dedicated special episode to discuss rules in general, but that particular rule will be the subject of our conversation.
Oh, we'll host a spirited debate.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. We can do that.
It won't go good for that person.
I wouldn't think so. But look, hey, if I'm missing something, someone let me know what it is.
Got to maintain intellectual humility, everyone.
Right. I'm always here to learn. Always remain intellectually curious.
Yes.
I'm always here to learn. But I don't think there's a lesson here.
I don't see it.
I don't see it. If it's there, I don't see it.
I'm not at fucking school. I don't see it.
Anything else for the face-off?
I think we're good with the face-off, man.
I got a little homework for you.
Hit me.
Before we get there, have you been doing your homework?
Best of the best.
Sure.
An awesome film. First of all, everybody get a gray gi.
Yeah.
That gray gi? Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah.
It was kind of ratty and kind of that old karate, probably never really cleaned it fully kind of a vibe.
Blood stains.
Come on.
Yeah.
I love a gray gi.
Yeah.
I need to get me one for the match.
I think so.
But loved how it ended, honestly. It was sort of a gamesmanship kind of a thing at the end. Not gamesmanship, sportsmanship at the end.
Right.
Which I really liked.
Yeah.
But I need some more.
Well, there are like 3 other best of the best movies. So if you need more of that, you can watch those.
I feel like those aren't going to be as good as the first.
I actually don't think you can find Best of the Best 2 streaming anywhere.
Not even on Tubi.
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think it's streaming. I could be wrong, but last time I looked for it, I actually couldn't find it.
Hit us up if you want to fund a 10-8 pod
Blu-ray
video library.
Yeah, we're going to start a Blu-ray library of the shitty karate movies that we love.
Let's revive Blockbuster, honestly. 10-8 Blockbuster.
I wish it was never gone.
Honestly, what a cultural icon.
Speaking of holding on to the past, I hold on to nostalgia.
Of course.
Heavily. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you like Best of the Best. It's a classic. I think now more than ever, 2 of our dear friends, Tim Green and Gianna Vidino, had their fight posters dropped today for Team USA.
Hell yeah.
They'll be representing us in October in Austria, in Vienna, the beautiful city of Vienna. Black red, white, and blue backgrounds.
Yep.
I love it. So
I'll put the Eagles on top of them.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You get a little Best of the Best to inspire your 80s level patriotism, your Reagan era level patriotism, because we're going to get toxic about that.
Of course.
But look forward to us trying to get an episode with maybe both Tim and G sitting here talking about the ISKA soon. Here's my homework for this week.
Hit me.
Because we had the Ultimate Fighter finales 2 weeks ago, we have another The Ultimate Fighter fight this weekend. My homework for you as you continue your journey into mixed martial arts is what I think is probably considered the best MMA fight of all time. It is the Season 1, The Ultimate Fighter finale. Now, here's what you have to know. Dana White, the Fertitta brothers, in a conglomerate known as Zuffa, buy the UFC, I believe in the year 2001, from a gentleman named Art Davie. Mm-hmm. And the UFC is a failing product. And they add in rules and weight classes and time limits and a lot of things that really add some legitimacy to the sport. But people aren't interested in the early 2000s, and the UFC is failing. Mm-hmm. So they need something to bring it from the brink. They need something to get people involved and invested. And they come up with an idea for a reality television show called The Ultimate Fighter, where they lock 20 some odd aspiring mixed martial arts competitors in a house together and have them fight each other week by week.
That's awesome.
To see who the ultimate fighter is. The ultimate fighter getting $50,000 and a contract with the UFC. That being the grand prize. So season 1, fast forward. Forrest Whitaker, Stephan Bonnar, the finale. R.I.P. to Stephan Bonnar, who died in the last few years. I think probably the greatest MMA fight of all time. Back and forth, action-packed. Can't say enough good things about it. I think a lot of other people still consider it the greatest MMA fight of all time. Thus, your homework for the week.
I take it upon my shoulders humbly.
And I know you do. Got anything else for this week?
That's it for me.
Well, if that's it, I guess there's nothing left to do but call your mother and tell her you love her. We out.